Literacy Webinar, aka Digital Masterclass, brought to you by Glen Eira City Council's Digital Enablement Program. Today's topic, 5 ways to build your Facebook audience and maximize your reach and engagement. That means we're going to share 5 super useful tips that will help businesses get the most out of their content on their Facebook business account. Please note that this masterclass focuses specifically on sharing content for business purposes, as distinct from paid Facebook advertising. A dedicated masterclass on Facebook advertising may follow at a later time. By the end of this class, you should have a better understanding of how to implement a Facebook content marketing strategy in a high-level sort of way. You'll understand why Facebook is more than an advertising and promotional tool. It's actually a two-way channel, and you'll see why social media platforms are predominantly used on mobile devices. You'll also understand why most video views on Facebook occur without sound. You'll actually be shocked to know how many. You'll get a better idea of what types of content tend to work best on the platform, and you'll understand why most of your followers won't actually see your content. Around 5% is the norm. However, you'll also appreciate why this actually represents an opportunity for savvy marketers like yourself. So let's get started. Facebook tip number 1, it's a communications channel. That's right. Social media is more than a promotional tool. It's actually a two-way communications channel. To put things in perspective, people used to interact with businesses in person. Remember that? Who remembers those days? Over the phone or even via the post. And then came faxes, email, and SMS. But nowadays, it's not at all unusual to interact with businesses via social media or even a chatbot. The 2 examples you see here are screen grabs of conversations with businesses. What you see via Facebook Messenger. These show one conversation, which comprises reserving an order with a farmer's market vendor, and another one, which is placing an order with a seller at a record shop. Now, what you're seeing here is what many people find completely normal. And the reason for that is that Facebook is a quick, easy, and widely available communications channel. So, how can this help you? Is your Facebook page set up to receive messages via Messenger? Does your page direct people to a transaction or an inquiry page? And as a business owner, is your phone or tablet set up to receive notifications when you receive messages like this? While you're at it, consider setting up automated Facebook Messenger greetings and messages for when you're away or if you people pose questions. Have an FAQ answer ready. FAQ stands for frequently asked questions. It's not actually that hard even for people with a basic knowledge of Facebook. And there are some very helpful guides online to get you started. Okay, Facebook tip number 2, assume everything is on mobile. Indeed, treat everything you post and do on social media as if it were to be seen on a mobile device. The reason for that, well, did you know that 4 in 5 Facebook users only use a mobile device for their app, while fewer than 1 in 5 users use both a desktop and mobile? That's important because things not only look different on mobile, but mobile behavior is also different to desktop. Mobile users spend less time on a website, and they tend to click on fewer pages as well. You might even say that people are more easily distracted. And that's probably not surprising when you consider how many people are just casually browsing something on their mobile when they're on a train or standing in a queue. To illustrate this point, here's an example here that shows Facebook only traffic, so only traffic that came via Facebook to a single page on an undisclosed website. Now, as you can see here, 75% of visitors to this page used a mobile device. And note also the lower average visit time from mobile users and the average number of pages viewed. Now, sure, it will vary from site to site, and some websites tend to engage people on desktop longer than say others, but what you're seeing here is essentially a roundabout way of how a roundabout accurate reflection of how most Facebook traffic works when it comes to websites. Facebook tip number 3, and this one might shock you. Assume that most videos are watched without sound. Now, how many is most videos? 85%. That's right. It is reliably estimated that 85% of videos on Facebook are viewed with the sound off. Now, something that incidentally is directly related to our previous slide, and that is the widespread adoption of mobile usage. Now, consider these examples, and I invite you to click on these videos in the downloadable PowerPoint that you'll be able to see on our website, and note the differences. The top one here is a compilation of funny marketing videos. It's amusing, but because there is no subtitles to this video, much of the poster's in-depth commentary is actually lost. There's stuff going around, we think we know what's going on, but there's actually a whole other level of commentary on these videos that we're not getting because there's no subtitles. Whereas compare that to the bottom video, and that has got what are called hard-coded subtitles, so subtitles loaded into the video. In that case, it doesn't matter if that video is being watched on a train or in bed, the meaning will always be visible at all times. So if video is part of your Facebook content strategy, it really does pay to consider what they look like without sound. Do your videos have subtitles? Even partial subtitles? A lot of marketers will just put occasional exclamations or single statements within their videos to emphasize the point. What it comes down to is asking yourself, how will this look to 85% of viewers? Facebook tip number 4 then. Facebook is always hungry for content. It's a prodigiously hungry beast, so feed it. In the marketing world, there's an old adage, and that is that content is king. That means the more you feed Facebook, the more it's going to reward you. In theory, at least. And that's because it's not just a case of dumping content into Facebook. What's important, and what is often the hardest thing to get right, is figuring out what to feed it. And then, once you've actually worked out, maybe, hopefully, what works, is then getting enough of that content. Both of these are often the most time-consuming task in any successful social media strategy. And one of the reasons that is so difficult to get right is that the Facebook algorithm is incredibly good at establishing what people want to see, although some cynics might argue what Facebook thinks people ought to see. The complexity of the Facebook algorithm is mind-blowing. It measures everything from past user interactions, so the past behavior of people that you interact with, to the time of day, to the actual words in the responses, even the number of reacts and the kinds of reacts. Reacts are those little emoji symbols that a post receives. It is absolutely incredible, the depth and the extent of the Facebook algorithm. And of course, the secrets of the algorithm are a closely guarded Facebook secret. The point is a huge range of factors determine how relevant your content is to your audience. Nonetheless, the emphasis is on very loose rule of thumb. As a very loose rule of thumb, the following sort of quote unquote hierarchy illustrates what is most likely to be seen by your audience when you post. Or rather, it illustrates what Facebook is most likely to deem important enough to show your audience. And that hierarchy looks something like this. Facebook Live, so live stream videos, tend to get the most eyeballs. And that image here on the left there, that is a screen grab of a Glen City Council staff member doing a live stream. Live streaming is exactly what it says. It's a live recording that goes straight onto your Facebook feed. The next most popular item, generally speaking, that gets seen comprises videos uploaded into Facebook. So The emphasis there is a video that is physically uploaded into Facebook, as distinct from a video that is shared. Following that are images with accompanying text, then shared posts with accompanying text. So pardon me. So a post that you share and you add extra commentary to it. And then finally, shared posts without text. And now we have Facebook tip number 5. And this is one that hopefully won't discourage you. So bear with us. Most followers won't see your posts. That's right. Most of your followers will not see most of your activity. In fact, it is thought that this might be as low as 5.5% of your followers. So let's hear that again. It is generally thought that of all your followers, only just over 5% of them are on any given day likely to see something that you post. And the reason for that is, as was mentioned before, it's a consequence of the Facebook algorithm. It's just the way it works. And while that may sound daunting, remember a couple of things. First of all, remember that this is the same for many traditional mediums. Back in the day, when people used to send faxes and SMSs and do print advertising, there was no way of knowing what the response was from a print campaign or a radio campaign or a TV campaign. The way to measure it was generally, unless you had sophisticated TV ratings programs, which most small businesses don't have, TV rating data, pardon me, was you would wait for the phone to ring. Nowadays, you can pretty much instantly tell what kind of a response any of your content gets when you post it on Facebook, because you can actually see the metrics. It seems really low, but the difference between something you put out in a traditional medium compared to something you put out on Facebook is that Facebook lets you directly gauge your audience response. Now, admittedly, there is a significant difference between inserting something 5,000 times in a magazine and sharing something to 100 followers. Obviously, it's difficult to compare the two. Nonetheless, the major difference is that Facebook lets you directly gauge that audience. If your page happens to have thousands of people, then you're going to get a bit of thousands of followers, then you're going to get a bigger response. So while those numbers may seem low, the truth is it's probably been the same in no matter what medium you use. Now, we will concede one thing, and that is Facebook is ultimately wants you to advertise. So they're deliberately keeping your engagement numbers low. But, and here's the opportunity, it's not just you that this applies to, it's everyone. Everyone has to play by the same rules. Everyone has to, in order to receive widespread reach and widespread engagement, has to be really good at posting content. So it's not just you who has to abide by the algorithm's rules, it's everyone. We're talking, of course, in the context of posting content. As I mentioned at the start of the presentation, Facebook advertising is a different ballgame. What that means is that there is a silver lining. It means getting it right means your reach is potentially limitless. In essence, Facebook is a free tool. And while, yes, it is very difficult to make posts go viral without paid advertising, nonetheless, as mentioned, everyone is playing by the same rules. And if you as a marketer can come up with some really savvy and catchy and clever ideas for your Facebook campaign, your reach is potentially limitless. Thanks again for coming to this digital enablement masterclass. Here's the presentation again. Here's the summary of the presentation. Remember, if you treat Facebook like a communications channel rather than just advertising, you might get a better response. That's because people will use your Facebook account as a way of contacting your business. Don't forget that most of your content is going to be viewed on mobile. And if video is going to be part of your campaign, you just assume that most of it is going to be watched without the sound, 85%, as we saw before. Have a good idea of what content to post and have enough of it. As mentioned, that can be one of the most time-consuming and toughest parts about posting on Facebook. But But if you get it right, you can potentially reach a lot of people. And finally, understanding that the key to getting more eyeballs is to actively engage with the small proportion of followers who do see your posts. So that's that 5% of people who are likely to see your content. If you happen to serve to them really good content that engages them, that keeps them interested, and that makes them want to interact with you online, then you are already well ahead of the curve and ahead of your